Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Emwa Henry, the CEO of Juve Trades. Today we will be talking about Trendlines. We will be talking about Trendlines. I'll first and foremost begin by defining what Trendlines are. Trendlines are just price action tools which are used to determine the direction of the market or also to predict the direction of the market. Trendline is basically used to determine the direction of the market or the trend of the market. Trend lines to some people functions like moving averages and Bollinger Band, trend indicators. But in this case, they are just diagonal lines that you draw on your swing highs and your swing lows. They are just diagonal lines that you draw on your swing highs and your swing lows. The second thing I want to talk about trend lines is that trend lines come from two words. Number one, trend, and then line. In other words, they are lines that you use to trace on a trend. And there are basically two types of trend, uptrend and downtrend. When the market is on an uptrend, we use trend lines on our higher lows and our higher highs, whereas when it is on a downtrend, we use it on what? A lower high and on a lower low. Alright, this is Boom 500, and I just want to use this market as an example for the trend line class. Permit me to invert my phone this way. Okay, let me invert my phone and keep it on. Alright, okay. So how can we draw trend lines in this type of a trend? Remember, the first thing is to do what? It is to spot your highs and your what? And your lows. So the first thing we will do is to go to a higher time frame and then do what? Spot our highs. This is a downtrend, like you can see, where the market is making successful what? Lower highs. So what this market is telling us that Boom 500 will continue on a downtrend. So you can see this is our lower high and this is another lower high. So what we will do is that we will draw the trend line on what? The lower highs, and possibly we can also use the lower lows as our what? Bearish channel to do what? To trace the trend line. Okay, so we'll go to this icon here. For some people that do not know, the icon here after the F, if you check after the F, the next icon, we just touch it and then come to your addition, and then you see your trend lines here. Alright, okay, so remember the principle. We draw it on what? The swing highs and the swing lows. So that's the first swing high there. As you can see, this point is the first swing high, so we will use that to trace down on the next obvious swing high. Please do not compromise your trend lines when drawing. This is the first, this is the second. Somebody will say, what about these other ones? Alright, now these other points some time ago were valid. Some time ago it was valid, but if you check, the trend line has been what? Compromised because of what? The price action move all over here. So the next thing we should do is to move the trend line to the next what? Obvious point, which is this one. And if you look at it again, the trend line has been compromised at this point and at this point. So what does this mean? This point, does it mean that those points are false breakouts? Not necessarily. However, let's continue with the drawing. Alright, okay, you can see how the first trend line looks like. When you have a situation like this, you don't panic. You only need to come back and pick a second trend line and do what? And then draw it from the previous point of what? Resistance. Okay, you can see that. Okay, so this is how you draw your trend lines. Okay, so we can see that this little point out here, is what some people will call a false breakout. However, even when it is a false breakout, we can observe that the candlestick pattern given to us here was a little what? A bearish what? Engulfment. Okay, so with that bearish engulfment, we definitely know that what? The market was going to sell down. And if you check very well, this is D1. The BS are losing what? Momentum at this point. So if you are shorting the market, please short it with caution. The BS are losing momentum. How do I know? Check this out. Check out the length of the candles, and then check out these last 3 candles. So if you are shorting the market, short it with caution. So most likely, to be on the safe side, I would say that once this market sells to here, this second trend line here, we should think of exiting. Okay, so that is how you draw trend lines. You pick your highs and your lows. You pick your highs and your what? And your lows. Okay, let's consider another market. Boom 1000. Let's consider another market. Okay, permit me to go to W1 in this case. That's because the swing highs and the swing lows will be so obvious here. Okay, so we can pick, this is a swing low here, a swing low here, a swing low here. Alright, and then here is what? A swing high, a swing high, a swing high, and then what? A swing high. Those are our points for drawing the trend line. So we will just go straight and draw them there. So we pick it and place it there. Now for some people that are still learning how to draw trend lines, it might appear a little bit cumbersome at first, but like the saying, consistent practice is what bets perfection. Don't give up on practicing. Then before you know, you'll have it. Alright, we just got that point. Let me increase the number of pixels. Alright, so I can make it 3 pixels. Alright, so that makes it a little bit more broad. Okay, so what about the second swing low? Okay, the swing lows, we will do the same thing. We will pick it from the lowest and then draw it to where the highest. I don't know what's wrong with the phone. It's misbehaving. Alright, so let's get it done. Alright, so you can see that we've been able to pick our what? Lows. Now when I told some people that I'm expecting boom 1000 to go on a massive bearish move, many people did not believe me. That was because I saw this as a rising what? As a rising pennant, and I knew that definitely the market will fall. Alright, so this is how you draw trend lines. This is how you draw trend lines. You identify your swing highs and then your swing lows. Now if you observe this point, the market has what been the trend line has been compromised at that point. That was why you had this bearish move down. The trend line has been compromised, and what does that mean? Let's go to a lower time frame. Let's go to a lower time frame than W1. You can see that that is the point where this trend line was compromised. I mean this point here. You can see that the market rallied and then dropped, and now the market is beginning to move a little bit upwards. So what must we do at this point? If we have, once your trend line has been compromised, successfully compromised, all what you need to do is that it helps you to know the direction of the market. What do I mean by that? You can see once the trend line was broken, what happened? The market went down. So anytime you have a compromise in your trend line, please be very, very observant and don't play with your swing highs and your swing lows. Those guys carry a lot of information that will help you. All right. So on the next video, I will teach you how to break down trend lines and use it for analysis from a higher time frame to a lower time frame. See you on top.